Hey, you guys, it's Courtney Camaro. I'm outside of Muhammad Ali's real original home. We're in Chicago, and I wanted to shout out Al's Botanics and Herbs. Man,
What's going on today? The question for today is what is your net worth? What is your net worth? So, in case you don't know what a net worth is basically what is your amount of income and assets minus your liabilities. So, let's say for example, you have an income of about $50,000 and you have $50,000 in savings and you have no debt, that means you have a net worth amount of at least about $100,000. You put in the debt, let's say you got $50,000 in debt and you have the same income and the same amount of savings, you have a $50,000 net worth. The net worth is something that is considered, a lot of banks consider it, when as far as they might call it something different, they will call it debt to income ratio. Okay. Um, they would call it, your debt versus your income. Usually they don't really look at, they might ask you what type of savings you have, what type of investments you have, but mainly it goes off of your net worth. Is what they tend to look for in the financial world. That's what most people look at as far as your actual monetarily value that separates you from other people is your net worth. Now, a lot of times I know people, they might have a negative connotation. People will tend to have a negative connotation about net worth in kind of lower socioeconomic environments, or just people that are in lower socioeconomic levels. They have a negative connotation about net worth because you saw that with the Kevin Samuels era. Basically people were saying, I'm high value because I believe in the Lord. You know, I'm high value because of the Most High. And it's just stuff like that, which is, I don't discount anybody if you're a good moral, you know, um, standing citizen. I appreciate that. But unfortunately, in the world that we live in, when you go into a bank, your bank don't care about you being a deacon in a church and you helped a lot of youth in your ministry, on Saturdays. They don't, they appreciate that. People appreciate good people, but in this world of capitalism, people don't really care about that. People don't care anything about none of that other than their bottom line. Okay. Can I make some, is there some potential for money to be made, profits to be made, So nevertheless, there's a interesting article. It's from Banking Rates. Yahoo Finance posted it, and I'm gonna go right into it because it was an article that kind of made me want to do this, pretty much do this live stream, because it's something that is very very key. People don't really like to be put in boxes. I get it, and that's based off of the conversation that I led with. People don't really like, people in a lower spectrum of socioeconomics. They don't really, they already put in boxes. They know, people that are, getting food stamps and getting Section 8 and stuff like that. They already know, they're born on a poor side of town and stuff like that. They know that the world is stacked up against them. After they get a certain age, they realize, okay, there's some rich people, and I'm on the bottom end strong of that. I'm not on that other side where all these rich people are and these wealthy people. I'm on the bottom tier of that, and just don't remind me of that. And I'm not gonna lie, I have since very, very recently, I've taken approach to not be so like beat you down as far as, if you're kind of struggling financially. If you really, really hear me, I don't really criticize too many, I don't even say the word broke as much, if you notice, anymore, because that's a sensitive situation. I realize that maybe my approach was too much, too intense as far as things. Sometimes it's just a situation where I'm not gonna lie. I mean, you can go out and really, really be tough, and you can make money in this country. You can do a lot in this country. Uh, but the thing is that some people, yeah, they don't have to do much anything. Some people are just born in a situation where, like, for example, let me before I get into this, let me show you someone of what I'm talking about. They were just kind of born into a situation to where they just were they're grandchildren of rich people that started a company a long time ago. And, like, for example, this woman here, she's it's like a freshman in college. It's like 17 or 18, and she's made $125,000 a day since she was born. What's going on, Nino? Salute. This woman made the €125,000 a day since she was born. Okay, she didn't have to do anything but just be alive, and that entitled her to her grandfather's part shares of her grandfather's company. So yeah, it's saying she's a teenager, but she's 19. Okay, and she's worth over $1 billion. Okay, the euro is worth more than the dollar, in case you know. So she is about 868 million euros. So that equates to about $1.1 billion. So she's the heiress of a machines company named WEG. And she has about, her and her siblings have about 3% of the company. And that nets her to basically, being a billionaire. She didn't have to do anything but just be alive, be the heir of basically her granddad, and there you go. So I understand. And that's why I say, like, okay, I do understand the whole, I get it. I get the whole Andrew Tate stoicism, go out there, lift your ball sack up, punch hard, run hard, make as much money as you can. I do understand that. That does work. But I'm not gonna beat up anybody. I'm no longer going to beat up anybody that doesn't necessarily want to do that, or they want to do it on their own terms and their own level. I mean, I've done that in the past. I saw the error of my ways. It's really, really tough out here. This woman, like I said, this young woman, she just was born, right? And she, was making $125,000 a day. Okay. I say all of that to say, okay, equate that to somebody that's just trying to make $1 million. They, working, they gotta work, they gotta pay for rent, they gotta pay for all of their bills, everything like that. The average everyday working brother, everyday working sister, um, they don't have that comfort. They don't, their parents don't, they knew before they graduated high school, if they didn't get any scholarships, they was gonna have to either rely on grant money or a combination of that and student loans. That type of individual was me. Okay. I was that guy. I had to get grants. I had to get, anything I could get to go to school. And it still wasn't enough. And I had to, get student loans and stuff like that. That's the average person. You know, some people didn't want to do that and they were right. For the people to say that they were wrong, that is not correct. Those people that did not choose to get student loans, they chose to do something else, whether it be they went to go get a certificate to be a CNA, and then they worked their way up to be a LPN. They got some grants from they company they work for or whatever. That route also worked. If it worked, it worked. If the guy that went to go get his CDL and he got good at driving trucks, he understood the game. He listened to an older trucker, and then he started. He got a truck. He got a DOT number. He got a group of dispatchers and bought two or three trucks, and he drives and he got other truckers. That dude also was right. Matter of fact, that guy is righter than everybody that went to college that only just makes $100,000 or slightly make a little bit less than that or whatever, because he's still making a lot of money and he's got a series of trucks, he's got a business, he's making money. That man is right. To say that man is wrong because he did a way where it was a blue collar route, it was a non quote unquote traditional college university level education route, to say he was wrong is totally politically incorrect and absolutely incorrect in today's time. And we know that basically a lot of people, they do have degrees. I know people with degrees, they don't even have a job. They getting Social Security or SSDI, or they struggling out in the streets trying to, sell something or whatever or get by. I know people with degrees that, you do understand that it's people with degrees, they don't even make $100,000 a year. Okay, from their job. I made over $100,000 a year. I didn't even make it from my job 100%. I had to hustle. I had to sell things and do odd jobs to make that extra amount of money to put me over $100,000. Okay, so it's a lot of people that have bachelor's degrees and even advanced degrees that don't even make six figures. A whole hell of a lot of people. So to put people down or to say that your route was better because you got some type of degree and this other guy did a blue collar, he did a plumbing apprenticeship and he's making well over six figures too. And somebody the average call he gets a day is no less than $500. That's not incorrect. That's not correct for you to push that narrative. And that narrative is incorrect because when that guy give you that quote, when you call him with your degree and your job, you talking about, do you have discounts? Do you is that the best you can do, my brother? You know what I'm saying? You with your degree and everything, you trying to jig them down because you ain't got you're not rich. Oh man, anytime, man, just you got my info. Just reach out to me, man. I got you. I'm definitely okay with it. You know, yeah. I mean, the thing is that you hear a lot of cases, people like, okay, yeah, I went to school, I got a degree, but really, to be honest, I ended up doing something that I didn't even really even need the degree for. I could have I could have read that from a book, or I could have, took some type of paid a consultant fee from somebody that was already doing it, and that was more than enough. Matter of fact, I ended up having to do that anyway because I chose to do something totally different. And it's like what I'm saying is traditional education is great. It's powerful in it. It's certain things you got to do if you want to have a particular career field, such as you want to be a doctor, lawyer, and definitely if you wanted to be an architect, you definitely have to go the traditional educational route because there's no way around it. At least in Illinois, I know you can't, in order to be definitely a doctor, that's probably universal, but to be a lawyer you have to go take traditional education, which is 4 years, and the additional years in law school become, and then practice, and then pass the bar to be a lawyer. To be an architect you have to have 4 years of education. You have to work under an architectural firm and pass the actual test to become an architect. And that's just that. I mean, those are certain fields. There's many more fields that are like that where yes, you need that traditional education, you need that certificate, or I mean that degree in order to get that, to land that job, to get into that career field. But when I'm also again saying, don't be tripping off the dude that just worked on his credit. He got some funding together. He might have started, yeah, he started to renovate houses, and then he start buying a whole bunch of houses, and he's making 10 times the amount of money you're making, um and he has no degree. Matter of fact, he dropped out of high school. A lot, these people, you know what I'm saying, they respect it, and they respect it because they have the money that you don't have. They simply, it could just be, I'm gonna be honest, forget school, forget trucking school, all of that. Some people just got the money already. How about that? How about those apples? Some people just got the money already, whatever, however they did it, that you don't have. It could just be that simple. They got the money already, and you ain't got it. You live in check to check with your degree or whatever, no degree, whatever the case may be. They already got the money. They got the funding. Um, they got all the momentum, and you just don't have that. And that's why a lot of people are bitter, and they don't really like the guys that already got the money, because you really can't say nothing about somebody that already got the money. I mean, well, you can call them ghetto if they don't know how to talk or whatever. But what if they do know how to talk and they're not ghetto and they got the money? You can't say nothing to nobody like that because they got the money, and you just don't have it. And your route that you took is made you just basically average at best, and it's okay, But at the same time, go. One of the things that I always was taught was go straight to the source, go straight to the root of the situation, and that is. What would be the root? The root would be understanding how to make it in this capitalistic system, having a system to deal with this capitalistic system. Okay, so one of the systems I use is definitely my book, The Millionaire Savings Plan. That helped me save the money that I needed to make and to basically kind of get started. You know, that's one of the things that I use. It's other things that I use, like I talked about my financial system, my financial automation that I use. It's not mine. Other people have talked about that, but it's I talked about financial automation, automating your finances. That's another tool that you can use to kind of get you out of the check to check cycle, kind of get more of a polished foundation for your finances. It's just certain things, but I get it, and you don't see my Lambo doors yet, and you don't see me coming out of a mansion. Okay, I get it. I'm not really 100% credible, but I'm working on it. I'm working on it. Say certifications and startups. Uh, I mean, it depends on what you're doing. Of course, in certain fields, like I said before, you gotta get a degree. It's just no way around it. Yeah, they've been talking about that a lot. Some of these channels saying that people are discouraging guys from going to get degrees, but the degrees ain't work. Yeah, see, the thing is this, right? This is why This is why people stay in their little bubbles and they don't really go out it. Because what they trying to tell you, what they won't tell you behind the avatar is really I'm in debt. I got a degree. I work, but I'm really in debt. And I'm average because I'm just an average ass avatar dude on YouTube. I ain't showed you nothing. You know what I'm saying? I ain't really got nothing but just some average shit. And it's just like, okay, well, who is that pleasing to? That's pleasing to somebody that's below average, obviously. Okay. If you want to just be average like me, go get you a degree and don't pass go. And I'm gonna be honest, like, I mean, it's to have a foundation to basically be able to get a job and everything like that. um Certain career fields you do need a degree, but the cap, where I call cap, is these people not telling you I'm really not, I'm really grandiose as far as my delivery and my message, and I'm coming off behind an avatar, like I'm just some dude that's um really privileged, when I'm just an average dude on YouTube with my degree. Like other, one of the things that I like about, well, I ain't gonna say I like it, but one of the things about capitalism is that's it's kind of unique. I would just say is that it don't really matter if you got a degree or not. It's can you get the capital? That's the hard part about this system. It does see that's the thing with communism. It doesn't matter if you got a degree or didn't have a degree. You get a base salary from the government, and that's it. When with capitalism, it's about your profits, your potential profits, how much money you can make. If you got a job, is a base amount of salary that you're gonna make. You're gonna make that. That's a guaranteed thing for below average people that's unemployed, don't really, or let's just say even underemployed. That's appealing to them. For the dude that and the woman is a very much a business aficionado, good with learning how to invest and stuff like that. That ain't really appealing. and those people are quiet around those people. And really, if you notice, one of the things I even see on YouTube, the hardcore degree niggas, they stay away from the businessmen and investors that's really doing major things, because to those guys, a average degree nigga is basically mediocre. You know, it's like, okay, you got your degree, fine, you got your job, but you really just, you can only make what they paying you. It ain't like it ain't like you can, if you make $100,000, you basically, that's just pretty much what you're gonna probably make next year, the year after that. Part of your income is going towards retirement, your retirement fund, and that's that. It's not like, hedge fund managers, those are the most highly paid career fields in the world. Hedge fund manager, based off of performance, they tend to make millions and millions of dollars every year. Okay, I mean, um, it don't matter if you got a degree or not. Usually, those guys do have some type of finance degree at Wharton or how Harvard or something like that. But you don't necessarily need that. But one of the things that I find again with the degree cats, they do stay in their own little bubble, but with below average Negroes and average other average Negroes, and they do not intermix with the circles of successful entrepreneurs and investors. Okay, I do, because that's what lane I'm in. But the degree niggas just stay in their little bubble, and they don't go outside that bubble. And if you come in their bubble and you talking about business and investments and capital gains and profits and all of that, they gonna be like, even the possibility of being an electrician, a journeyman after 5 years, depending on what state you are, and making, $58 an hour plus overtime, they gonna say you not pushing degrees hard enough. You need to get, you trying to steer people away from getting degrees. And I call that cap, because you want to push a degree because that's what suits you, because suits you and your ego. But we all know you don't come outside that. You don't come outside that bubble and go with the investors and businessmen, because you're beneath them, basically. But again, I'm not opposed to either one. If you wanted to if you want to get a degree, if you got to get a degree in the career field that you're going to go to, I wish you the best. Even if you're going to do the degree route, don't be no average Negro. Take that money, invest it in something, build enough income, and start some businesses. As many people, even myself, you can have your business on the side, and you can make your money from your job. My job, I made, what I made from my job. I made an extra $30,000 a year, basically off my side businesses. Okay, you don't, if you just gonna be an average working dude with one stream of income, I can tell you in 2024, really, I've been saying that for years. That's dead. That's dead in the water, because it's just it's too much. Everything is so expensive now that and it's so many ways to make money. You got to be competitive out here. If you just one job working Negro, and depending on that solely, that business model been dead. That been dead for a long time now. It's too competitive out here now, and it's been that way for the longest. And then people found out they can't even depend on their job if they wanted to, because they can get laid off. Um, Other people only basically depend on public sector jobs because of the government backing and government funding. Other than that, everybody knows in the private sector it's eat or be eaten, and you gotta get down how you can, you know. Um, so this article here. I'm gonna read this. Net worth for U.S. families: How to tell if you're poor, middle class, upper middle class, or rich. Again, I'm not reading this on the standpoint that I'm trying to uh, poke fun at anybody or poo-hoo anybody. I'm just reading this article, relaying the information, putting my 2 points in it, and just kind of talking about the significance of it. This is the greatest country in the world to go from poor to rich. Okay, some people say overnight. That is possible. It is possible. Okay, it is possible, but that tends to happen if you go like play the lottery or go to the casino or something like that, or you play some off track betting, or uh, it tends to, in my opinion, that tends to happen if you're gambling. Okay, going from like, okay, you wake up poor and then go to sleep rich. I mean, you just got to be honest. Like that tends to, like, that can't happen. Okay, but that tends to be why people gamble. That tends to happen from people that gamble or take that risk or whatever. But yeah, it is that opportunity is here in this country. There's a lot of there's a lot of opportunities in this country. So again, I've been poor, and within a year or two, back to middle class. I'm trying to work my way up myself. Okay, so again, I ain't I know I done stole on a lot of broke people on this channel, man, over the years. I put my gloves down. I take the tape off my fingers. You know what I'm saying? I ain't giving y'all niggas no massages enough shit like that, but I'm just saying, hey, we cool. Hey, we got, it's a uphill battle. It's a lot of battles. You gotta, like I said, you gotta overcome all obstacles. There's a lot of obstacles out there. Okay, I'm dealing with it myself. So let me read this in here. Class is an indicator of socioeconomic status that acts more than a simple metric. It carries a significant amount of weight with how we view ourselves and others. Your class is not static. That's what I just said. It's not static. It can change as you age. That is known as upward or downward mobility. And while it doesn't happen as often as we might think, it still occurs. It is possible that can happen. But let me warn you as far as what I know. Okay. Go and check out my channel trailer and check out. Okay, I'm gonna check that. Okay. I'm a definitely I'm gonna email you. I'm gonna check that. I'm gonna check that out. The thing is that what I want to say as far as the socioeconomic status part, man, I'm gonna tell you guys this. You want to be careful because, for example, if what tends to happen is we learn a lot from our parents. You damn near got to sit on the couch to overcome what you learn or get comfortable with watching your parents. For example, my mother was middle class. My dad was a gambler. Okay, my dad was probably more kind of working class. um I find myself, and a lot of people, what they tend to do is, and I've said this many times, they will be the same socioeconomic class as their parents because they got comfortable from living that lifestyle with their parents, even though our parents made it look easy. Our parents didn't tell you, our parents didn't tell us, they told us some stuff of what was going on, depending on how your parents were. But they didn't you didn't see everything every day what they had to go through to make the money that they made. And it was a lot. And it was harder then than it is now. Um, Other than all of the things that's going on, it wasn't going on then. But like what I'm saying with the pandemic and the intensifies wars that's going on, and all of the different problems and stuff like that. It was different. It was a different time, but they made it look easy because you when you start working how hard that is to deal with that 9 to 5, weekly work cycle, dealing with all of these bills, the high price cost of housing, all of the other costs involved that are involved in everyday life. It was different then, but it was harder in my opinion back then than it is now to make money. It's a lot more opportunities now than it was back then. If they didn't like you and you couldn't get no job, it was a lot harder to do other things to supplement your income or to make it back then than it is now. So, but what I want to say is, I want to warn you is most people have their same socioeconomic class as their parents, and that's because you get comfortable um, being the same type of class that your parents are, and that's one of the warnings I want to put out there, and I'm gonna talk more about that when they as the article continues, and I'm gonna when I read these things that they're gonna be talking about, a lot of it is going to fit into your how you are now, even though you might even be middle class. You might be a mix of the lower classes and stuff as far as what they describe, because you might not even be concentrated enough in your particular class. And I'm going to play a video that kind of correlates with what I'm talking about. I'm going to play a video. It's a chick that is she is a economist. um she talks a little bit more about it, and it's very streamlined in her discussions. So I'm gonna definitely, I'm gonna play her video to kind of, it kind of goes with this article. Okay, so it further reads, moreover, there are indicators of class that correlate to a specific class that don't necessarily place you in that category. For instance, a graduate student stipend might net them $20,000 a year or so. This would put them in a lower class, but you have to consider their future income based on the type, the time put into that education. Okay. The reason why I dropped that bomb, is that this is what fucks up a lot of women, primarily black women, I would say, because they don't never consider the fact that possibly whatever your socioeconomic class is now, that might change 5 to 10 years ahead. And then it's like you might still know this person's social media handles, and then now you see them, they got a big old house, a nice family, and they might have a white woman, what I'm saying, within that family paradigm. And you like, damn, you can't say he don't like black women because he tried to talk to you, but you said he didn't have no money, and you didn't have the potential to basically wait And also, basically, you say you don't want no struggle love, but basically now you're struggling and you got no love. 5 years later, right? You said you don't want no struggle love, but you by yourself still struggling with no love at all, right? But um he now that person basically done moved on to somebody that had the foresight to see, okay, this dude is a smart motherfucker, he know how to talk. Damn, he got I see where he working now, they not paying him enough. I could probably get him, kind of coach him up to kind of get a different position at another company and make some more money, or kind of cheerlead him on, and boom, next thing you know, the man's whole life is totally different. He's making 5 to 10 times more than he was making. He could drive whatever he want, he could live wherever he want. And you didn't see that potential. I mean, what make you think, okay, let's just keep it common sense, right? What make you think a guy that's college educated, like, just I'll put myself into it, that knows how to speak, knows business, knows a lot of different other concentrations, knows has different talents and skills. What make you think this person is going to be on Skid Row or anywhere near that, or if not higher up? What makes you think that? And it's like, okay, I will give this. This is I do understand black women. I understand black women in their mindset, they feel like they can't take no risk because again, most black people, we come from a lower socioeconomic background. So a lot of black women, they feel like they can't take no risk, and that's an error in their judgment. Like, they, as far as a long term relationship, they don't think they could take any risks. With a this is what happens. They do with this. They do this when they're younger. They think as though they should not or can't take any risk with a guy that's up and coming. He's too broke or he's too dusty, and then that's an error in a lot of ways because they don't see the potential in the future. For example, they say, like, okay, for example, a guy that's he's got a stipend and he's in grad school. He's going to school and he's only getting a stipend, and he's only making $20,000 a year. But again, we're talking about net worth, and a lot of times people don't know what net worth is. You can also put in the potential. You have the potential in the future with a graduate degree to, yes, make way more money than what you're making now by being a student. And a lot of people are just terrible investors in understanding people and their potential. It is a gamble that he might not make that money. He might not do that. And I understand black women feel like, because I don't really have no risks. I can't take no risks. I can't put in myself in a situation where it's going to quote unquote be no struggle love. But the evidence supports that basically that's an error in judgment, because a lot of times those men do overcome and make more money, and then you got pie in your face and you want to. I don't know how many times I've had women try to come tail back and be nice to me after they seen even my own. I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna just be 100%. My ex-wife discounted me. She thought, okay, when I got locked up, she thought I was just gonna be a bum for the rest of my life. And she discounted me. She discounted me so much she filed divorce. Man, when I got out and pretty much transitioned back higher than I ever been before, which that's what I ended up doing. She wanted the nigga back, and it was like, no, hell no. You know what I'm saying? Keep that same energy from afar. You discounted, what I'm saying, what someone's potential is. You had me fucked up. Got me fucked up. happens. It happens every day, you know. Um, but the thing is, yeah, I know I had to personalize this. I have to put my personalization into this. It just it's without fail, and it's not just me. A lot of people that's happened to them. That's the plight of the black man in America. We discounted, we the underdogs, but a lot of times we come off top. We come off top. You know, we come on top, especially if you understand if you understand the story of the Titans. If you understand the story of the Titans, oh hell no. You know, the sky's the limit. The limit is the fucking sky. You know, the universe. Um, so let me read this further. This would put them in a lower class, but you have to consider their future income based on the time put into education. Another individual might have gone bankrupt for one reason or another, but it comes from wealth. While they temporarily have no income, they'll still have support of the upper class they were raised in. Okay. Like another example, I was in a higher class than my ex-wife. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, at the end of the day, if I don't know nothing, I know how to throw a fucking rock, you know, and be middle class. Middle class just means you make about $30,000 to $50,000 a month. I mean, a year in the Midwest. You know, salute Alonzo. Perfect timing. If you live on the East Coast, you might have to double that. Okay, um, that might be $100,000. You know, but if you know how to, you know, if I don't know nothing else, I know how to throw a fucking rock, and I know how to be middle class. Shit, I know how to, you know, shit, be middle class. Like that's I ain't gonna say it's nothing, but it's fairly easy to be middle class in my opinion. Basically, you know, it just it's not that difficult, you know, in my opinion. I mean, some people it's difficult because you know you know they just don't know how to do it. You know what I'm saying? They might have not they don't have the family structure to you know to do that. You know what I'm saying? The people that they talk to and stuff. You know, most of the people I talk to is they like middle class. You know, so it's kind of, you know, that's kind of how that goes. So for this further reads, you might be questioning where you fit in due to recent and ongoing economic trends, including high inflation, layoffs, future recession worries, and the continuing effects of the pandemic. Here are the markers that will indicate whether you're poor, working class, upper middle class, or rich. So this is where the meat and potatoes comes into to effect. And also keep in mind, um, this is kind of correlates into my kind of like class system that I made, which was basically I put people as basically disabled in the trenches, freedom fighters, commanders, chief commanders. Okay, so it's kind of correlates to that, and keep in mind also a lot of these things that I'm going to read off is very much you can even be in the middle class and still have some of these kind of attributes in this class system. And then what that means is your particular class system is not so much concentrated. You might recently have been in that class, or you might have fell off, you know, and you've only been in this class system for like maybe a few years or only, you know, a certain amount of years. You're not that concentrated. You know, some people, you know, have setbacks. You know, I've had many setbacks, right? So it's not necessarily that concentrated for me. So here's the deal. This says, okay, the poor is 20% of the population and they have less than 1% of total wealth. What makes this socioeconomic level is unstable housing, limited access to higher education. Okay. Yeah, it's certain, even higher, people don't understand. Okay, higher education, you can come up off of higher education. Primarily, let's just talk about it from a perspective of being a dentist, being an accountant, being a lawyer, being an architect, being a, let's even say a nurse, a registered nurse, uh um being let's just say a certified teacher. These jobs you do have to have a degree for. If you're, let's just say, from the projects or the trailer park, with that education and those jobs, you can get out that trailer park, you can get out the projects, you can get a basic apartment and have a above standard or average living compared to what you came from. And that is something, right? I'm not never putting down people that do that, that go get educated, because it's certain fields, certain career fields, you have to have a degree. It's no exception. And usually those career fields that I just mentioned are higher paying fields. And not to mention, those are the career fields that also have catapulted people to become millionaires. Not just having a job and just being a happy robot going from work to home to work to home. No, that's not what I'm talking about. People took these careers, and then, for example, like an accountant opened up a tax firm and started becoming a tax preparer, and helping people with their books, doing having clients outside of their company's time, having clients look, basically handling their accountants, their accounting, for like maybe a small firm, a small business, handling their accounting, those things, like having business outside of their career, or if not fully, making enough money outside of their career or job, and actually going into business full time as an accountant, having an accounting firm, and actually having clients. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about you get your degree and you be a happy robot and just work your job and do your 20 years, and then you paid into your 401k and you retired. That's not how you become a millionaire. That's not what I'm talking about. Okay, so yeah, it is a thing. Also, they say heavy debt, difficulty paying basic expenses, accustomed to sharing of resources. That's another thing. Also, that's why you hear people, they be like, man, they say rich people should give back and give other things. That's the language of the poor person. Okay, this person should give me this, and isn't, you know, that's that language. Okay, they should, reach back and give me something. No, nobody don't owe you anything. That's kind of goes into communism and all that other stuff. Um, disproportionate incarceration rates. A lot of time people have to take risks. When you're poor, people feel as though they have to take risks. They feel like they have nothing to lose. Treat it as a burden and expendable. Lack of access to healthcare. So yeah, this is a socioeconomic level, and this is also associated with certain neighborhoods. These are, it's not just poor people. Poor people live in certain neighborhoods usually. So it's also the neighborhood. Okay. This is where, they don't have access to those, don't have access to high levels of health care, things of that nature. Those things are not available like that. So that's what they saying about poor. poor. Okay. So for something, I think I'm pretty sure I already downloaded this. Okay. Yeah. So this is the one here. Okay. So let me play this one here. This is a video kind of at explaining what I'm talking about as far as you can kind of get in, you can get comfortable, and then also you cannot even be as concentrated. Because, like for example, a lot of working class people people consider people that are working class even poor because they don't really look that different from a poor person. Because a lot of times, people that are working class, they have connections. They have very concentrated connections with other poor people. They tend to have family and friends that basically the only difference between tends to be from a poor person and a working class. Okay, let's say you poor, right? This is your class. I'm not talking about you. I don't have any condescending tones or anything like that. I've already said earlier, you could go from poor to rich very fast in this country. You can definitely do it within a year. It's possible. Now, the thing is this, the reason why people are might have very much concentration where they might even be working class and also poor. Because the only difference between a poor person and a working class, like say you poor, um, all you have to do is just basically, let's say you already working at Wendy's. Okay, you got a job, you making at Wendy's, making $12 an hour. You found out a warehouse. You had a friend that worked in a warehouse. Let's say Frito Lay's, and Frito Lay's is paying $20 an hour. Okay, you went from making 12 to $20 an hour. Now you working class. That's how simple it is to go from being poor to also working class. But a lot of times people really define working class people still as being poor because it's very much connected. It's very close to poor, and a lot of times people concentrate close to where they are. Okay, that it's kind of like why a lot of people that are kind of educated and they just have a degree and that's pretty much it. They don't associate themselves with people that are higher class. They don't intermingle in those circles like that because um those, first of all, they would be below them as far as their them actually being in a situation where they're not economically on that same class. They don't have the lifestyle, they don't have the capital to be in that class. And a lot of times people like to hang with people that are just like them or below them. That way they can kind of look down. They don't people don't really like looking up at other people because especially people that have very severely unchecked egos. It's very much an ego driven thing. And the thing is that it's in your best interest to be around people that are a higher class because those people can lift you up. You know, it might be tough because a lot of times people do laugh at people that don't have the amount of money that they have and stuff like that. But those people, you'll be surprised what you can do with around some rich people. You know what I'm saying? No Diddy. So let me play this video here, and I played this before, and it kind of explains what I'm talking about as far as how you can be really, really comfortable in your own class system. Okay. So much so that you don't get out of it. Okay, so let's play this here. Let's get find this video here. Okay, let's see.
Type of woman a rich man.
Oh no, that's not it. Just another one. It's this one here.
Your socioeconomic level doesn't just determine the culture that you practice or the income that you make, but it also determines the trajectory of your life and why you stay there. Okay, by this point, y'all should already know the rules, and we're going to use this model a lot just for different stuff. So, yeah, you already know 1 through 10, poor, middle class, wealthy, median, median, median. If you're below the median, you're poor of that section. If you're above the median, you are rich of that section, okay? This category, which is the poorest category you can belong to, and this category, which is the wealthiest category you can belong to, they both have the same reasonable inverse of why they stay in that socioeconomic bracket. This person doesn't have enough information, time, or resources, okay? Meaning literally to acquire any of those things would supersede their lifetime. So they never have enough time to even focus on moving past any type of bracket, all right? They are in survival mode, people. Now, for this person who is the wealthiest of the wealthiest, because they're making money off of derivatives and systems, that means they are the ones controlling the monopolies. Oil, plastic, whatever. Okay.
And I'm gonna tell you this, and this is something that I'm still trying to figure out. She says something which is very key, and it kind of goes into business. She says systems. Okay, once you have a system that works, a lot of people don't understand how powerful that is. A lot of people don't really have businesses. They have self-employment. Meaning, okay, say you have a restaurant. Most people that know people that have a restaurant, they're always in the restaurant. They own the restaurant. The idea of them not being in the restaurant is like, damn, what's going on? Because you're known for working in that restaurant, managing, you're the manager, owner of that restaurant. That's not necessarily a business. That's a small business, but a business is a system that runs without the person being there. For example, we all know Bill Gates started Microsoft. He sold, a lot of his shares, but he still owns a lot of the shares of Microsoft. Um, they changed the CEO a couple times over since the time he's left. But Microsoft is miraculously still running. Why is Microsoft still running? And Bill Gates done retired. He done left. He done did all kind of malarkey around the world. Microsoft is strangely still running. Why is Microsoft still running? Because Microsoft is a business system that makes up different processes and systems that run on itself without having the actual owner and founder actually running that system. And that's the language of the rich and wealthy having business systems. This is something that I'm dealing with as far as trying to tackle, trying to research and understand and study, because I'm gonna be honest, having an actual business system is probably more valuable than any educational accolades that I can say, because that actual business system is what's going to make you the riches and wealth that you've ever dreamed of. And it's an art within itself that a lot of the rich and wealthy have tapped into. I'm going to say this: it helps if you have a whole bunch of money to run a system. Okay, it helps. It helps substantially. Having income, having capital is like almost is pretty much like having employees. It's having a bunch of employees because that money can hire employees to run your business and maintain it. As long as you're making profits, that the ends can justify the means. So let me continue on with this video.
Okay, so for them, they really aren't going anywhere unless there is an event where the state collapses. All right, and by the way, violence is low-key the only way to reverse inequality, if you did not know that. 5 through 9 is going to be your rich poor person, and 15 through 19 is your upper middle class, right? Okay, so these two people actually stay in their bracket for the same exact reason, and that is they are basically the popular or the elite of the category community that they belong to, right? And technically, these people, if you wanted to use the same social,
you see that? That's what I'm talking about. So it's middle class people that are popular. They're the most popular in that middle class group. They ain't even trying to be wealthy. They ain't trying to be upper middle class and none of that. They so popular being in their socioeconomic class that other people within their class are trying to be like them, and they're basically the most popular in their class. But yet some people get so popular that they don't even want to be rich. I'm gonna be honest with you. I've seen poor people have this mindset where they're so happy being in the hood, they don't even want to. The idea of leaving the hood is something that they don't want to do. They don't really want to leave the hood. They're comfortable living around other poor people and their, basically environment. They don't really want nothing else.
analogy, you call them the lames of that group. So because these people feel so prestigious, they're not even really contemplating jumping over this line and into the next socioeconomic bracket. And the reason is because they already think they're shit. All right? Okay, really try to follow me on this one, okay? So these are the last two, which is this one and this one. So 10 through 15 is going to be your lower middle class, and 20 through 25 is going to be your lower tier wealthy, okay? So the reason why both of them stay in that basket is because, like I said in the last example that we did where we evaluated the rich portions of the categories, they are the lame side of that, okay? Because we're using that social example. So basically, this group is relying on this group to accept them to some degree, because remember, they belong to the same community. They aren't out of different communities. These people might as well go to the same university, the same high school, the same middle school, whatever, right? They're very familiar with everybody's social status, everybody's status in general. So these people basically know that these are the bottom feeders, so they have to do acrobats to get over to the higher side of the community they already belong to. But they're at the mercy of the elite portion of that community accepting them, okay? And that is also true when we get to this portion, which is the rich person that technically isn't wealthy yet, okay? So it's interesting to see how, even though we're talking about finances, income, economy, whatever, it's still very interesting to see how it still forms a social caste system, And that is why it is called socioeconomic class.
So, yep, that's that. Okay. That's she goes by Natalie the Economist on TikTok. So yeah, she's got a lot of interesting information. Okay. So further reading this, I'm going to break down the working class. 40% of the population. So basically, without much of anything, if you haven't noticed, basically what this is saying is 60% of the population of this country is made up of, irrespective of race and culture, 60% of the population is poor and working class. Okay. And that makes sense because we got the chart on the wealth inequality in this country. That makes totally sense. That correlates with this chart here. Very much correlates. That's one thing that I want you to notice that you might have not noticed. Okay, 60% of total population makes up a poor and working class people. 60% is a huge number. So this is where you have the 99% movement. This is where you have the basically people that are just tired of this. They you have people talking about abolish capitalism and all of that type of stuff, man. This is why you have that. This is a big portion of the population. Okay, and they only have about 3% of the total wealth, and they still work every single day. A lot of times they work really hard. So again, we're in the factory. We've came from basically Wendy's to now we're factory workers. We got a job at the factory. We was at Wendy's making about $10 to $12 an hour. Now we're in the factory making about $18 to $20 an hour. Okay, working our ass off. Okay, now we're working class. Okay, it says manual labor working for middle and upper class people. Okay, sometimes they have access to higher education with student loans being an issue, limited savings, living paycheck to paycheck. Debt is a daily concern. Somewhat stable housing, also treated poorly. Okay. So moving along, middle class. 20% of the total population, 8% of the total wealth. So if we combine the poor, the working class, and middle class, 80% of the total population of this country. Have less than 10% of the wealth of this country.
The shit's chess, it ain't checkers. This is the worst.
That's crazy. That's crazy. That's if this ain't this is sad. And it's like, what can you do about it? I'm gonna tell you, you can't do something about it. You can't do something about it. This article, this is the reason why I'm doing this, because I want to tell you, you can use this to do something about this. You can use these different bullet points to absolutely do something about this. Okay, so again, middle class is 20% of the total population. We already know that between the working class, the poor, and the middle class is 80% of the population, with less than 10% of the total wealth of the country. Okay, 80% of the people have less than 10% of the 10% of the wealth. Okay, they said of the middle class is stable housing and home ownership. Stable employment. Job tends to have ideal benefits. Higher education. They have a degree or they've been educated. Okay. Debt is usually from the mortgage and their education that they went to school for.
Message.
Okay, that's the middle class. Moving along, upper class. 19% of the population, they have 49% of the total wealth. Okay. Own more than one home. Let me repeat that again. Own more than one home.
Message.
So that's right there. What can you do? What can you do, ladies and gentlemen, that's listening to me? Own more than one home.
Nigga, did you know that I can see you?
What's the advice for 2024, broke genius? Own more than one home. Broke genius, what you working on? Working on my house and trying to buy more homes. So when you ask me how am I doing, I'm doing my house and I'm trying to fucking do another house. That's how I'm doing. Okay. Second bullet point. Elite education student loans are usually not an issue. Why? Because they have a certain level of income that pays for their education. Like for example, one of my ex-girlfriends, she worked for a financial institution. Okay. And she was making more than enough to pay her student loan from her education. It wasn't an issue. She was able to pay for her apartment. She was able to pay for her student loans. She was also able to help out her family, her mother and father. Stock market investment. Shit, she went to school to. She took training to be basically a basically investment broker. Okay? Early retirement. Okay, fire movement. What is the fire movement? Let's look that up so we can provide some more educational understanding of what things are, put things in perspective. I can tell you basically the fire movement is basically financially independent, retire early. That's what the fire movement is. That's what fire basically stands for. Okay, financially independent, retire early. So I've talked about this before. You know, this is a calculator for the fire movement. Put this in. So this is a retirement calculator. Okay, so it has 35 is the age, income 80,000, annual expenses is 30,000, current net worth $20,000. Your current net worth, like I said, current value of assets minus total of all liabilities, has a current net worth of $20,000. Okay, and it has allocation of 80% stocks, 15% bonds, $5 in cash. Expected rate of return is 5% on stocks, 2% on bonds, -3 on cash. All right, so you calculate this. Basically, they can retire by 46. But one of the things that I like to put, I like to use, I would probably use a different calculator, because what I would want to put into is perspective, is like as far as like what the actual monies that I'm going to be putting in, um as far as things is concerned. They got some different calculators here. But basically, you have to have enough income to retire. It's very simple to from that perspective. You have to have enough income to retire. Like, for example, let's say you have no debt, and your expenses is about $20,000 a year. You need to retire for 10 years. You need at least $200,000. In order to do it for 20 years, and that's what a typical retirement is at least about a 20-year stretch. You're counting on having 20 years of income, if not, being able to, kind of stretch that out to as long as you're living, or whatever, right? But at least about 20 years. So obviously you would need about $400,000 to retire. That's your target amount. So you would basically do whatever it takes to get that amount of money to where you can retire. So your target amount to be financially independent and retire early is $400,000. And that's based off of your current cost of living. Some people try to, of course, what is it easier to do? Decrease the cost of living. You definitely don't want to increase it. But how do you decrease your cost of living? Well, some people might downsize to um, a smaller house. Some people might even, let's just say this. I just came back from Punta Cana, Dominican Republic. Okay. So in the Dominican Republic, they don't have they don't have the cost of living like they do in the United States. They just don't have that. So you can decrease your cost of living and possibly even live better and have better weather. Let's just say moving out of the country if you're able to do so. You have $400,000. So that means basically You go get a house built in the DR for about $150,000, and it's very very nice, you know. And then you sell your house, so that's extra income right there because you sold your house, and you move to the DR with that $400,000. Instead of you having a income cost of $20,000 a year, that gets decreased to about at least 10,000 or $15,000. So you're saving $5,000, $5 to $10,000. That's why people go and be expats in other countries that's cheaper, because they can actually absolutely retire and then also save off of their expenses, off their cost of living expenses. Okay. Because in order to be financially independent and retire early, basically means that you have to be the key words is financially independent. And the second part of that is being able to retire early. How do you retire early? Have to have the money to retire early. Like for example, what do you need according to you looking at your expenses? What is the dollar amount that you need to cover your expenses? Your current expenses, what are they? That's the first thing you have to, look at. What are your monthly expenses? If your monthly expenses um are let if your monthly expenses are lower, then retiring early and being financially independent is easier because your expenses are low. So that's the key to that. Being able to retire early, that makes up the upper class. Inheritance is another thing. I just started this off. I showed you the billionaire heiress at 19 is already worth over $1 billion. Okay. Easy access to legal aid. Lastly, the rich. 1% of the population, 40% of total wealth. So the upper class and the rich make up 90, I mean 89%, almost 90% of the total. Okay. So one of the things that I do is I try to listen to upper class people within my own cultural perspective. I don't really listen to too many white dudes like that, and all due respect, because in my opinion, there I do understand white privilege and other things is that perspective. Your easy access to getting loans, easier access to getting basically look the other way, all of that type of stuff. Um, I do take advice and stuff like that. I still I still watch other people, but I primarily watch and listen to other people that have my same cultural dynamic because I know for a fact that they had the same problems and issues very similarly to what I have had, and their explanations and stuff like that makes more sense because basically they had the same hurdles and struggles that I've had in most cases. So the rich have they own the largest, nicest homes. Full time work is optional. Okay, full time work is optional. So according to my systems that I created as far as my economic systems, the middle the upper class would be the upper class would be up freedom fighters and commanders and up. Okay, so more or less what they're talking about with rich individuals, they're talking about commanders. Okay, they're talking about commanders. Okay, I don't really even talk that much about this because basically a lot of people, it's very rare that these people you know what I'm saying, these are the most rare people because most people are not millionaires, you know, especially black millionaires. There is a very low percentage of black millionaires. Okay, but these are you know, people that pretty much they don't really have to work no full-time job. That's optional. These people kind of do. You can say yeah, they're freedom. You're a freedom fighter, but you're out of survival mode. You know, kind of somewhat out of the workforce, but you still dependent on that workforce, or you still dependent on your assets and stuff like that, from your job, from whatever your consultant business. These people here, they don't have to depend on their money from no full time work. They don't have to, you know, work no business, work no job. You know, that's just not what they have to do in this level. You just don't have to do that. They don't have to do anything but live off of their business systems that's already up and running. And like she said, their derivatives, their interest that they've already earning off of their income, off of their investments. Okay. Make up a wide range of social connections, treated as leaders, and it access to the best legal aid. Hold positions of notable power and esteem. Okay. That's the rich. All right. So I hope that you have gotten something from this, you know, that is very, very much beneficial to you. You know, hopefully that this is something that you can learn something from and take with you. Definitely like, share, subscribe, send this to someone um, that basically this can help. And so we meet again.